Well, friends, down in Georgia, it looks like District Attorney Fani Willis hasn't gotten around to extending plea offers to Mark Meadows or Rudy or Donald. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, let's do a quick, somewhat lighter Justice Matters video as we head into the weekend. And let's talk about the plea offers that are and are not being extended by District Attorney Willis in her Georgia State RICO prosecution. But first, if you'll indulge me, just 30 seconds of housekeeping. As you may know, here at Justice Matters, we're an all-volunteer operation. We're up and running 7 days a week, posting a legal analysis video every day, and we couldn't do it without your support. So if you're interested in more formally supporting our all-volunteer efforts, our mission, our content, please feel free to come on over to patreon.com. You can sign up to become a patron, and if you do, I'll send you some Team Justice and Justice Matters stickers and a personal handwritten note of thanks, and thank you to the many of you who have come over to patreon.com and are supporting our efforts here. Okay, now let's head down to Georgia. It looks like not every defendant in the Georgia RICO case is getting a plea offer. You know, Mark Meadows apparently has been checking his email. No plea offer. You know, Rudy shuffles out to the mailbox, opens it up. No plea offer for Rudy. Let's start with the new reporting about what might be going on with plea offers down in Georgia. Here is some new reporting from Hugo Lowell of The Guardian. Headline: Some of Trump's closest allies have yet to be offered plea deals in Georgia case. And that article begins, Donald Trump's top co-defendants charged with conspiring to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia have not been offered plea deals since they were indicted, people close to the matter said, fueling concerns among some in the group that prosecutors are vindictively forcing them to trial. Let me just pause there, friends. I teach vindictive prosecution and selective prosecution, those two doctrines, to my criminal justice students at George Washington University, and declining to offer somebody a plea deal is not vindictive prosecution, not even close. So I think we can discard that word. But the article continues. The co-defendants without offers include the former U.S. President himself, former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and former Trump lawyers John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani, individuals who played leading roles in the alleged conspiracies. The lack of offers from the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, in contrast to those deals agreed with the other Trump election lawyers Kenneth Chesbrough and Sidney Powell, has caused some of Trump's top co-defendants to reconsider their legal strategy and weigh options such as seeking an expedited trial or trying to sever their cases. I vote for expedited trials. The article continues. Trump and his original 19 co-defendants pleaded not guilty in August to charges that they violated the RICO statute in Georgia in trying to reverse Trump's, election defeat. But the pressure on Trump's closest allies has increased in recent weeks after 4 co-defendants accepted plea agreements. The Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee has not set a trial date for the remaining co-defendants, in part because he's been advised that further plea deals are possible, a person familiar with the matter said, though on Thursday, he, the judge, scheduled a motions hearing for Trump in December. At least part of the reason why Fulton County prosecutors have not extended plea offers to Trump's top allies could be a strategic decision to move from the lower level defendants upwards, where each defendant provides incriminating evidence against the next biggest prosecution targets. For the moment, prosecutors have discussed the prospect of plea deals with at least 7 co-defendants on a list that includes several Trump 2020 campaign associates and the fake electors. Okay, friends, so let's talk about how prosecutors approach the question of plea offers in the large-scale conspiracy cases, for example, RICO cases. I handled conspiracy cases as a prosecutor. I tried RICO cases in federal district court in Washington, D.C. as a federal prosecutor. And I can tell you, each time in every case, we had to confront the question of who we should extend plea offers to and who we would decline to extend plea offers to. And then in addition to that, if we're going to extend plea offers, what should those plea offers look like? Ordinarily, we would batch defendants into 3 categories. The first were the smaller criminal fish. We might extend them plea offers that did not even require them to flip, to cooperate, to testify truthfully against their fellow co-conspirators. Why? Well, maybe they didn't really have much incriminating information about the bigger criminal fish, or maybe they did, and it was duplicative of what we were getting from other defendants, so we didn't really need them. Or maybe they had information, but they were cruddy witnesses, right? They were not the kind of witnesses that you want to put before a jury and urge the jury to credit their testimony. So for any number of reasons, we might extend what we call non-cooperation plea agreements or plea deals to the smaller criminal fish. Just call them out. Maybe in their plea agreement, we would reduce their charges. Maybe we would limit their exposure to prison time. For example, if they pleaded guilty to crimes that carried up to 10 years in prison, we might agree to ask the judge for no more than 5 years or 7 years in prison, depending on the offenses to which they were pleading guilty. So there were all kinds of ways to plead out the smaller criminal fish. And then let's talk about the medium criminal fish. These are the people who might be sort of middle management in the criminal enterprise, the criminal organization, the conspiracy. And these might be people that we would extend plea offers to, but those plea offers would require cooperation, would require that these people not only accept responsibility for their own crimes as part of the conspiracy, but agree to testify fully and truthfully against others, against their fellow co-conspirators. So we might extend them a plea offer that reduced the number of charges they had to plead guilty to, or that limited the prison term we might seek for them at the time they are sentenced, but it would require full and truthful cooperation. Those are the kind of plea deals we might make to the medium criminal fish. And then moving up the criminal food chain, there is the biggest criminal fish. And it might not be just one, it might be 2 or 3 of the biggest criminal fish, the folks at the top of the criminal food chain of a particular criminal enterprise, organization, or conspiracy. Maybe it is the right-hand man, I don't know, maybe the chief of staff to the biggest criminal fish. Maybe it's the dirty attorney to the biggest criminal fish. And of course, it is the big orange blowfish himself, the mob boss, the former president who tried to bring an end to American democracy, reinstall himself in the White House for a second term over the expressed will of the American voters. Yeah, that big orange blowfish. Those people, the biggest criminal fish at the top of the criminal food chain, we might make them no plea offer at all. And let me make one thing clear, friends. That is not vindictive prosecution. In a nutshell, vindictive prosecution is punishing somebody for exercising a right that they have under the law, a statutory right or a constitutional right. You know, oh, you're going to make a motion to suppress a confession that was extracted from you illegally, then we're going to use the law to punish you. One example. Vindictive prosecution is not insisting that the biggest criminal fish be held accountable for all of the crimes they committed against our democracy. That's actually a little something we call accountability. So trust me, friends, it's not all that unusual for prosecutors to say, no, 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 the head of this criminal organization, the leaders of this criminal enterprise, this conspiracy, no plea offers. Because you should be held accountable for all of your democracy-busting crimes. Now, there is one way that the biggest criminal fish can plead guilty. It's called pleading straight up to the indictment. What does that mean? It means Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, Mark Meadows, John Eastman, or dirty, corrupt DOJ lawyer Jeffrey Clark, they can walk into court and they can plead to every count in the indictment. They can plead straight up to the indictment, and they can do that without any plea offer at all. They're welcome to do that. And here's the thing, if they do that, they will get a somewhat reduced sentence because acceptance of responsibility by pleading guilty is something that the courts universally recognized as a sentence mitigator. It's something that can reduce the sentence the judge ultimately gives. Now, it may only reduce it from 20 years to 19 years or 18 years, but defendants do get credit for accepting responsibility and pleading guilty. So you know what, Donald, Rudy, Mark, y'all want a plea offer? Well, here's the offer. You go in and plead guilty to the indictment. Every charge on which the grand jury indicted you, accept responsibility for what you did, and then you can make your way to sentencing and, throw yourself on the mercy of the court. There's your plea offer. Yeah, it's really no plea offer at all, but if there's one important takeaway, there's no requirement for prosecutors to extend a plea offer, particularly not to the biggest criminal fish of the conspiracy, the criminal enterprise, the criminal organization. And of course, nobody has to plead guilty at all. Donald and Rudy and Mark, Jeffrey, y'all can just go to trial. Proclaim your innocence. Make your case, because if you've done nothing wrong, I'm sure you'll be fully exonerated, but you did plenty wrong. And you're not going to be fully exonerated. You're going to be fully convicted by a jury of your peers down in Georgia. You know why? We know why. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.